So, what was it like doing the audition for Cold War? I'm assuming you didn't know it was for a Call of Duty game yet.
I did not know. I went in for a voiceover audition, and it was one of the few times where most of the voiceover auditions are done from your home studio. I have a recording booth in my house, so I do most of my voiceover auditions from home. But this was one of those rare occasions where they called me into the studio. I went in person, and I worked with the casting director, a lovely lady by the name of Ivy Eisenberg. She had me audition, and I could tell that it was for a video game. I couldn't tell what video game, but I could tell that whatever audio was being used was going to be used for a video game. When I got done with the audition, as I was walking out, she came after me and she said, "Hey, are you going to be around next week?" And this was in December of last year, early December. I said, "Yeah, I'm here. I'm in town. I'm not going anywhere." She's like, "There's another project I'd like to bring you in for, and I'll call your agent and set it all up." I said, "No problem." So a week later, I get a notification from my agent that Ivy wanted me to come into her office. They sent me the material that I would be auditioning with. And it looked like it was for some kind of, military-like project. I get to her office, I come in, we start doing the scene, and it's a scene where this character cold-bloodedly executes a hostage. And she looks at me, she goes, "Oh, by the way, this is for the next Call of Duty video game." I said, "What? Can you repeat that for me one more time?" And she said, "Yeah, it's for the next Call of Duty video game." I said, "Oh my God." And I'm a fan of the franchise. I've played all the Call of Duties leading up to this one. And I'm more of a campaign player when I play Call of Duty. I love the whole cinematic feel of knowing these characters' backstories, where they're coming from, what they're trying to accomplish, and seeing all the little vignettes in between missions, these little stories that are played out. And so I've always been a campaign player. Multiplayer, not so much. It's not my strength because, let's be honest, I get killed pretty fast. I get taken out pretty fast. I don't even realize what's going on. And then who killed me? What just happened? And then they ceremoniously replay what just happened, and you get to find out how you were killed and by whom. And then, of course, I played very little zombies in the previous versions of the game. So when I found out, I didn't know to what extent my involvement would be in the game, what character I would be playing. They were very, very tight-lipped, very clandestine about the project notes. And most of the stuff that I got was all, prefaced with a non-disclosure agreement. So I had to sign away all these, agreements that I would not be talking about it. I would not be posting on social media about it. And understandably so. And about a week later, I get contacted by Treyarch. They start telling me, give me all the notes of what I'm going to be doing, where I'm going to be going. And I show up on the first. What's that?
When is this? Like, is this 2019?
This was December of last year, of 2019. And so I went into the studio. They had their motion capture stage on one area. And I was like, wow, is that where I'm going to be? And then they pulled me into a different room where they had all these platforms and all these machines that look like time machines. And I was like, what's going on in here? And they said, well, we're going to be creating some of the characters for MP. I said, MP, what's that? Multiplayer. That's why you're here. I said, oh, I had no idea. So the motion capture stuff, like the stuff that they did with Reggie Watkins, that had been completed and done long before in Chicago. So they had flown out Bruce Thomas, Reggie Watkins, and all the other actors that were in the campaign to do all the motion capture was done in Chicago. My task, or their task with me, was to create the look for the character that would end up being DGI Mendo Garcia. I didn't even know what the character's name was. So I knew I was going to be an operator. I didn't know what the character's name was. I knew his backstory, that he was, originally from Cuba, had been a part of the Cuban military and Cuban revolutionary military, and that he was basically a psychopath assassin for hire. I said, okay, and that he was supposed to be very agile with knives. I said, good to know. So I took that information. They started dressing me up, and this was one of the first outfits that I think they dressed me up in, this one here that you're seeing. And they started handing me weapons, and they started making me go through maneuvers. Like if you were going to breach a house and you were going through the back door, how would you do it? And so I started going through that like I would have done in the military. And when they found a pose that they liked, they would have me freeze and hold it there. They'd take pictures. Then they had me on a rotary platform that they would then rotate a quarter a degree each time. And then they'd take pictures and have me holding that pose the whole time until they did it 360 degrees. Then from there, they'd pull me into a room where they would scan my entire body, face from head to toe. And I would have to stand still where they had somewhere in the neighborhood of about 80 cameras. They'd feed that information into a computer, which would then render a 3D image of my entire body, a computer image of my body. So we went through that for the first week. I think there were a total of maybe 12 to 14 different outfits that they put me in. And at one point, you know, once they went through all the ideas, they allowed me to interject, and they allowed me to bring some of my experience into the game as well, which we'll get into with regards to some of the other experiences that I have that I was able to bring to the game.
Like salsa dancing?
Salsa dancing was one of them. Yeah. One of the outfits, it was funny because before I get into the salsa dancing, I'm also a martial artist. I've been a martial artist since I was about 12, 13 years old. And they had gone through all the poses, and one of the designers says, do you have any ideas, something you'd like to do? I said, yeah, you know, my character's supposed to be a knife-wielding psycho, and I see you have a table over there full of knives and machetes and blades and swords. And they even had a ninja sword. And so I said, you know, why don't you bring me the matching pair of knives there? And they said, well, those are real. I said, that's no problem. Go ahead and hand them to me. And they gave them to me, and I said, okay, you guys ready? They're like, yeah. So I started performing a kata, which is a martial arts demonstration utilizing the knives. And they went crazy. They started taking all kinds of pictures, and they ended up actually utilizing some of the poses of me with the knives in the actual video game. So when you select the different skins, there's an animated caricature of me yielding the knives. So they actually ended up using that in the game, which I thought was neat. And then the salsa dancing, same thing. They dressed me in this one particular outfit, which hasn't been released to the world yet, where, you know, there's a progression of this character. You know, as with most of the characters in Call of Duty, they have a storyline and they have an arc, and they tried to develop the one for DJI Mando Garcia in the game, where he went through several different hierarchies within the story of Call of Duty. So this one particular outfit, they had me, you know, with a different outfit. And one of the designers goes, I hear you're a professional salsa dancer. I said, yeah, I was a professional salsa dancer. He goes, why don't you dance some salsa for us? I said, okay. And they had music playing. So I said, why don't you go ahead and play some salsa music? Started dancing, and they were taking pictures. They just let the shutters go on the cameras and took all sorts of photos of me dancing salsa. So it would be funny to see one of my finishing moves be him performing a little salsa number at the end of the kill. That would be awesome.
So what you're telling us is, if you want to get into a Call of Duty game, you better know how to salsa dance.
No, it's just something that it just happened to help. I've been fortunate that some of my life experiences I was able to utilize in the creation of this character, and I'm so thankful for that ability, for having had those abilities to bring to the game.